Make these dudes lonelier. The male loneliness epidemic needs to be a male loneliness pandemic. If they keep doing these jokes and pranks and they just keep acting like they don't like you, please leave them. It's not a joke. It's not a prank. They deserve to be lonelier because that's basically what they're telling you. They don't like you very much. So leave them where they stand. Anyways, let's get into this post from the relationship advice subreddit. She says, my fiance keeps joking about calling off the wedding and I don't find it funny anymore. She says, I'm hoping for some advice or at least outside perspective because I'm not sure if I'm overreacting. You're not overreacting. My fiance, who's 29, and I, woman who's 27, have been together for 5 years, engaged for 1. Our wedding is scheduled for early next year. Lately, he's been making jokes repeatedly about how there's still time to back out or how he's still shopping around. He says it in a lighthearted tone, but often around friends or family, but it's been happening more and more and even in private. At first, I brushed it off as nerves or just bad humor, but now it's honestly starting to hurt. When I told him that it makes me uncomfortable and I would appreciate if he stopped, he just laughed and said I was being too sensitive and that he was obviously joking, but it doesn't feel like a joke to me anymore. It feels dismissive and a bit cruel. We've never really had any issues communicating before, but I feel every time I bring this up, he shuts it down or makes me feel like I'm the one being unreasonable. I love him and I do want to marry him, but this behavior is making me question things I never questioned before. Am I overthinking this? Has anyone else dealt with something similar? Any advice is welcome. I'm sure you know the type of advice that she got. If a man is doing these jokes and you're not finding it funny, you bring it up and he dismisses you. And like she said, he's just being dismissive. Why would you want to connect yourself with a person like that? It is so much cheaper, less stressful, and less taxing to just call off the engagement versus planning a wedding, planning a marriage, connecting yourself to somebody financially and building a life only to divorce later. Because someone who isn't even caring about your feelings right now is probably, this type of behavior will probably continue into the marriage. So just, stop worrying about that whole sunk cost fallacy, talking about I love him and I do want to marry him. Why? He doesn't give a damn about your feelings. So why? Why do you want to marry somebody like this? All right, let's jump into the conversation. The comments below. Here is where I was tagged in by Bacon and Megs saying paging Bourbon Bougie. If you do want to tag me, I cannot get to all of the tags. I get a lot of tags daily, but I do try to, check out some stories that would be pertinent to conversations that we're having in our spaces. Lush Signal says, jokes stop being jokes when they consistently hurt the person you love. He's not being funny. He is being dismissive. River Rat said, honestly, I will call his bluff if he does it again. Call it off, stay with friends or family for a day or two, and see how he feels. Reevaluate the relationship 24 to 48 hours later. It could be nerves on his end, but it's not funny or fair to you. Seriously, Yellow says, yeah, I agree. Next time he does it, say, okay, and then act like you're leaving. Act like you're leaving and do it. If he doesn't call to get you back, he meant it, and you wouldn't want to be with him anyway. If he does call you to get you back and say, are you going to keep saying you have time to leave me, or are you finally stopping that nonsense now? Stand up for yourself, call his bluff, find out the truth. Good luck. Uncomfortably Here says, nothing takes the wind out of their sails so fast as just replying with, okay. You aren't ignoring and you're not overreacting. So they just have to sit there with you, taking their joke and acknowledging it as the face value. My brother used to make jokes about get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich, etc. Eventually, one time I just said, okay, and got the coffee he wanted and just handed it to him. He never made the joke again. Ugh, but why would you do that? Ugh. 68 Green Eye says, and do not give the ring back. Since he's the one calling off the engagement, it is legally yours to keep. Hippie Havoc says, I don't know, looking him in the eye and handing him back the ring in response to his joke would be pretty damn dramatic. Hot Mess Express says, don't even give it back. Just casually ask without even looking up. So do you want the ring back now or am I selling it? Or whatever you want to say. Then when he doesn't answer, just look at him and be like, what, did I say something wrong? Neutral Person came in and just made me go, ugh. Neutral person says, then it becomes a game and everyone gets hurt. Open and raw conversation is the best way to solve it. Don't play games, because she said that she's brought it up and he hasn't listened. So yeah, just keep on saying the same thing to a person who's not listening. Totally makes sense. Okay, this person says, some are saying he already is, but that doesn't mean she should stoop to his level. If you reread the post, she has only mentioned it to him. She has not sat him down and had a serious conversation about it, which is what I am implying needs to happen. These men that make these stupid jokes are not dumb. They're not dumb people. They're just mean-spirited, and that's the reason why they deserve to be lonely. They deserve to be lonelier. Make the male loneliness epidemic a pandemic. Dry Crab says, it's already a game that he's playing time and time again. I don't want this wedding. Oh, you're too sensitive. What is the purpose of this repeated refrain? It's not open. It's not raw. It's a mind game to upset her. Yes, he understands that it upsets her and he still does it. It's a mind game to withdraw affection and commitment and also undermine her self-confidence. He needs to stop playing games. Yeah, and she needs to just leave. But she knows what she needs to do. She says, I see every single comment and I'm too emotional to engage, but thank you all very much. I know what I must do. So she's hearing people. I'm glad that people chimed in, and I'm glad that she's open to hearing what she probably already knew. Billowing Flag says, a man who loves you the right way would never choose to hurt you repeatedly after you pointed out the problem. A man would want to grow and be better. Someone who loves you would never want to hurt you. This guy is not a man who loves you. Spend the rest of 2025 healing from this relationship and enjoying a social life with friends and family. Don't consider dating seriously until you've spent a few months healing yourself. Rooting for you to have a peaceful 2025 and a fabulous 2026 and beyond. And like the person at the bottom says, I absolutely agree. I do too. Go ahead and heal. It's time to take a big old woosah, reflect, all that kind of stuff, heal, get rid of all of the relationship drama, stress, all of that, and just move forward. This person at the bottom says, I absolutely agree. He keeps hurting you. You put a stop to that by just walking away. And with that, I'm going to end that right there. Being single is better than this. Being single is better than this. Y'all let me know what you think though. Join the conversation, like, comment, and share. This is a post about Justin Bieber. I'm totally sure I've never made a post about Justin Bieber, but here we are. So Justin Bieber shares some new photos, and he also shared the caption, tired of transactional relationships. If I have to do something to be loved, that's not love. Justin Bieber has been all in and through social media. People have been talking about him and his relationship with his wife and how he's still pining away for another woman and all of that. And he's doing this publicly. Also, outside of his relationship, separate from her, because his wife deserves better than this. He probably does need to get some help for whatever past demons that he is battling, whichever way he is battling these demons. Because what we're seeing in these pictures, this next picture, this is literally from his page. He says here, I will never be like you. You have nothing that I want. Your face and life looks undesirable. These pictures are not pictures of a healthy person. And it's not even just physically. Look at his eyes. This does not look like a well human. And I have no idea all of the things that he has gone through in his life. But as a person who is a husband and a father, his wife and child do not deserve to have this version of a human being a husband and a dad. Whatever he's battling, he needs to fix it. But his wife separately needs to separate from him, because this is a whole mess. Let's check out some of the comments under this post. Danny says, I'm not being funny when I say this, but I'm generally concerned about Justin Bieber. I think people around him should be very concerned about his well-being and mental state. I hope he's doing okay. And it's perfectly fine to worry about Justin Bieber. I worry that his wife is seeing this. And if he's putting this in public, tired of transactional relationships, if I have to do something to be loved, that's not love. What is he saying in private to that woman? Tori says, tired of seeing you humiliate your wife over and over again. Get a divorce and leave us alone, Justin. Adriana says, Coke is one hell of a drug. Gabby says, so he is like constantly bringing this up in one way or another. I think he doesn't like the relationship he's in. You don't say. You don't think he likes her? I don't think he likes her. And I never really post about him, and I don't think about Justin Bieber. I really don't. But from the bits and pieces that I see, he does not like his wife. So this person says, posting like this when you know damn well the internet thinks you hate your wife is so, and I don't know what this, is that a ghoul? Is that a ghost? Is that death? I don't know. Kay says, this is how men act when you ask them to do anything. Ariana says, 31 years old, by the way. 31 years old and looking like that. That's the reason why I said this is not just physical. This is something that, you know, he is working through, and he needs to work through it, but separately from this relationship. Virgo says, praying for his wife to leave his stupid ass and find someone who actually likes her, because we're all tired at this point. So the person above says, Haley is saying, please take a shower. And then this is Justin. Tired of transactional relationships. If I have to do something to be loved, that's not love. This person says, men, after you set one boundary. Esma says, whole time Haley probably just wants him to be a present father. Liz says she's probably asking him to be a better husband and father. Bamut says, Pisces men are so dramatic. You're an effing dad. Stop acting like you're 15 singing One Less Lonely Girl. And then G says, this man is drugged the F out of his mind. Y'all, like I said, I know that I don't talk about Justin Bieber, but that's not the point. The whole point is a husband is coming on the internet and in public humiliating his wife and obviously needing some help. So this is what we're doing, and this is the reason why we're talking about this, because like I will continue to say, being single is better than all of this. Being single is better than this. But y'all join the conversation and let me know what you think. I know we have a variety of conversations in my spaces daily, and I don't think that we have broached this one. This was posted in the Women in Tech subreddit, and this person posits saying, men are deeply envious of the fact that women control creation of human life through pregnancy. That's why so many male CEOs in 2025 are obsessed with making copies of artificial humans through AI. Sounds like an interesting topic, an interesting post. Let's jump in. She says, when you look at it from that perspective, it makes sense why CEOs are fixated on building robots that replicate human abilities and intelligence. Why else would they invest so much in creating plastic copies of people? They test these machines to see if they can speak like humans, walk like humans, even imitate human creativity. It's counterproductive because they're trying to replicate something that already exists and does it better manually, emotionally, and more creatively than any AI program. There are billions of people already living on this planet. So why are they so focused on replicating humans with AI and constantly trying to improve it every time an AI robot doesn't walk exactly like a real person? It's futile. It's a reflection of men's obsession with human creation. Women can carry life inside of them. The choice to bring a child into the world belongs to them. Men can't do that. They can't give birth. So they have to compete for women and hope to pass on their genes. This obsession with building human-like AI is rooted in envy. Women have the power to create life. That's something men can never fully have. The ability to choose to bring a human into the world is something that belongs to women. Rich male CEOs don't have that kind of power, so they become fixated on copying it. Instead of supporting actual human lives, investing in better education, healthcare, food, housing, they pour billions into trying to build machines that act like us. But these plastic humans will never be better than the real ones. No matter how advanced they get, they'll never match the complexity, emotion, and evolution of real people. Still, the obsession grows. I saw a video today of a robot mimicking human movement. It was laughable. When you really think about it, AI is a symptom of a deeper male complex. It comes from envy. Men can't give birth, so they throw money into making a lifeless imitation of something only women can truly do. Instead of helping real people thrive, they chase the fantasy of creating a new human out of code and plastic. Not because the world needs it, but because they want to feel they have a power they don't naturally have. Oh my goodness. Like I said, we needed to see this and have a separate conversation, because this is definitely what they could be thinking. I'll add to that AI is their wet dream. Sure, they could have lots of kids like Elonia Musty, but the problem is that humans have emotions. They need to be raised, cared for when they're little. Carrying them, changing diapers, the emotional labor of raising a child is a nightmare for most men. What they really want is to pass on their genes, but they don't want to deal with the work that comes with raising a human being. That's why AI and robots are so appealing to them. A human-like thing that never protests, never cries, never gets tired, no emotions, something that they can treat however they want, insult, control, and it won't push back. Hey, I have nothing to add to this, because this is not something that I really think about. But it is interesting because I do remember Akon, the rapper or singer or whatever, talking about the artificial wombs that are coming. And people want to talk about the artificial wombs and how women won't be necessary, and how these dudes go out and they get their pleasure robots and everything. And they think that women are going to feel bad that they're outsourcing. And women are like, cool. If these dudes, I mean, you know what? Give these dudes a project. Continue to give them a hobby so that they can leave the real human life ones alone. All right, let's get into a few of these comments, and y'all go ahead and let me know what you think about all of this. Virtual Adam says, all they want is cheap labor. First they had India, then that became too expensive. Then it was nearshoring to Central and South America. At this point, Africa has a decent amount of tech work offshore to it. They need to have a plan E for when they start demanding too much money. Living Housing says, it's a Western capitalistic mindset. Everyone in the West benefits from this. If you're in the West, you're part of the exploration problem. Pure Relationship says, I agree partially, but I also think that the rich are actively screwing all of us over, and they are the only ones who win. They want us pitted against each other. Being poor because you've been unable to find work for a very long time, because every position gets filled with low-wage foreigners, is not a privilege. This person with a bunch of letters says, yep. Both things are true, and the sooner we all come to the realization, the better. The same system is keeping all of us down. Secure Course says, hey now, some of us were just born here and didn't ask for any of this. Totally acknowledge we have to be aware of the impact of our situation, but not all of us want to and or choose to be here. Living Housing says, true, but innocent people can reap the rewards of horrible exploitation. Europe was made rich by colonization, same with the U.S. and exploitation of indigenous populations. It's easy to say one doesn't want it after being born in privilege. Okay, but none of this is addressing the whole thing. But, okay, still having a conversation. Subject Turnover says they don't want to pay wages. At most, they feel entitled to a female personal assistant to hold their hand through life. They absolutely aren't envious of giving birth. Impregnating a woman and doing zero work is already a pretty sweet deal. And then Good Focus says, this is the main bottom line. As long as humans require wages, they are a cost center and a liability, and replacing robot parts is probably cheaper than paying a human being. Robots don't need lunch breaks or living wages, etc. And then Roy G and some other letters says, totally, it's a God complex, plus keeping the bottom line low. I think this definitely supports the thesis here. All right. Totally different type of conversation, but I do want to hear from you. What do you think about all of this? Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Well, I don't know. I'm still working on where to put these. Anyway, it's right here. You see it. Yeah. Right. So this is a gentleman. This is his photograph from his dating app profile. He picked this picture out of all of his when he scrolled and said, this one right here is going to make the lady swipe right on me. This one right here. And if you don't know, he's at the top of a push-up, and he has weight plates on his back, 180 pounds to be exact. And his friend over there, Fingertips, helped him stack all of that weight on his back at the gym. They did it together. Now, from an exercise physiologist perspective, is this helpful? No. It's, if he trained like this, like a few times a week with extra weight on his back, whereas normally he would do 12 push-ups, now maybe he could do 15 to 20. But here's a fun fact. The spine is not equipped to bear the load of this much stupidity. It's not. And I took a moment to briefly teleport for somebody else, and him and Fingertips on a Saturday was in the basement gym that they built at the house, and they did this shit, and he snapped his spine in half, and she ended up at Grady on a Saturday when she didn't think she would, and now he's a new member of the wheelchair basketball team at the Spinal Center because of him and Fingertips. You see his friend, he's got his fingertips in the frame because just in case those plates slide off, because first, they're not supposed to be on his back. Second of all, if they fall off, he's not a good friend because he's not going to be able to catch them with his fingertips, and his friend is going to be hurt. Yeah, I don't know what this is useful for, honestly, unless his kink is naked ladies on his back, which is very possible, or he likes to bring the groceries in the house like a mule. Otherwise, I don't understand. I'm going to check on the cats this week, and I left jury duty, and goodbye.